I woke at 4:30, same as always. The widow's hour. I called it that time when the world's still dark and you can pretend yesterday didn't happen and tomorrow won't come. I had 2 hours before my first job started. 2 hours to finish the mending I'd fallen asleep over, to pack Maria's lunch, to become the mother I'd promised to be. My hands reached for the needle and thread before I was fully conscious. Muscle memory. Survival instinct. I'd gotten good at both. The candle flickered as I threaded the needle. My fingers were calloused from 2 years of this rough patches where smooth skin used to be. I didn't look at them too closely anymore. Didn't look at much too closely. Seeing meant acknowledging, and I couldn't afford acknowledgement. 2 years since the railroad accident. 2 years since they'd come to tell me my husband was gone. Crushed between 2 cars while laying track west. They'd given me $40 in their condolences. The money lasted 3 months. The condolences felt like they'd lasted 3 minutes. 730 days of proving I didn't need anyone. I'd become very good at lying. I finished Mrs. Henderson's hem as the sky began to gray, set it aside and moved to the kitchen. Maria's lunch next. I counted pennies for bread, literally counted them. Copper coins lined up on the table like soldiers. 3 cents for half a loaf. 2 cents for cheese if I skipped my own lunch. I skipped my own lunch. I checked on Maria before I left. She was asleep with her homework half done. Dark circles under 10-year-old eyes that shouldn't know exhaustion yet. Her arithmetic book lay open across her chest. I closed it gently, pulled the blanket to her chin. She didn't stir. Lately, she slept like the dead. I hated that phrase. Hated how easily it came to mind. The walk to the seamstress shop took 15 minutes through empty streets. Other widows passed me. We recognized each other without speaking. The uniform was the same black dresses worn thin at the elbows, shawls pulled tight, eyes forward. We didn't acknowledge each other. Acknowledgement felt like admission. Mrs. Patterson, the seamstress shop owner, had that look when I arrived, pity dressed up as concern. "Elena, dear, you look tired." I gave her my practiced smile, the one I'd perfected in front of the mirror. The one that said everything's fine even when it wasn't. "I'm well. Thank you." She didn't believe me. I didn't expect her to. We both participated in the lie because the truth was too heavy for morning conversation. I sewed until noon, hems and tiers and alterations. My fingers moved automatically, leaving my mind free to wander dangerous territory. I thought about Maria's teacher's note that I'd found crumpled in her school bag yesterday. Hadn't read it fully, just enough to know it was concern. I'd stuffed it in my apron pocket. I knew what it would say. I couldn't afford to know. At noon, I walked to my second job. The laundry. Lye water and hot steam and other people's dirt. My hands turned red within the first hour, cracked and burning by the third. I'd stopped wearing my wedding ring 6 months ago. The lie ate at the gold, and I couldn't afford to lose it. It sat in a box at home, wrapped in the handkerchief my husband had given me on our wedding day. I got home at 6. Maria was at the kitchen table, trying to do homework by fading daylight to save candle wax. The sight of it made something crack inside my chest. "Mama?" She looked up. I tried to start dinner, but we're out of... "I know, baby." I kissed the top of her head. "I'll handle it." I always handled it. That was my job, my purpose, my identity. Strength meant enduring alone. That's what I'd learned, what they'd taught me, what I'd taught myself. Good widows didn't complain, didn't ask for help, certainly didn't admit they were drowning. I made soup from bones I'd begged from the butcher and vegetables I'd traded mending for. Maria ate. I pretended to eat. We'd developed a system I'd move food around my plate while she told me about school. She'd stopped noticing I didn't actually swallow. At 8, I left for my third job. cleaning the saloon after it closed. Whiskey-soaked floors and tobacco stains and the particular smell of men who'd given up. I scrubbed until midnight, came home, finished whatever mending I'd brought with me, slept 4 hours. Then 4:30 came again. I looked in the mirror one morning, I don't remember which day. They all blurred together and didn't recognize the woman looking back. 35 years old and already a ghost, skin stretched too tight over bones. Eyes that had forgotten how to see anything but the next task. Maria deserved better than a ghost mother. I knew that. Knowing didn't change what I could give. I got through the day. Same as yesterday. Same as tomorrow would be. I'd gotten very good at getting through. Hadn't yet learned the difference between surviving and living. That difference was about to find me. Miss Sarah cornered me at the schoolhouse on Friday afternoon. Cornered, that's what it felt like. Though she was probably just being kind. I'd stopped recognizing kindness. It looked too much like pity. "Mrs. Martinez, might I have a word?" She smiled, but her eyes were serious. I wanted to run, wanted to make an excuse about work, about time, about anything. But Maria was watching from across the yard, and I'd taught her to respect teachers, even when I wanted to disrespect their concern. Of course, I followed her inside the empty classroom. She didn't make me wait. "I'm worried about Maria." The words hit like fists. I'd known they were coming, had read them in the crumpled note I'd refused to fully acknowledge. But hearing them spoken made them real. "Her grades are slipping," Miss Sarah continued. "She's falling asleep in class. She seems withdrawn." She paused. "How are things at home?" "Elena." "How are things I worked 18 hours a day and slept 4? My daughter was raising herself. We were one missed paycheck from the street. How are things? We're managing just fine." The lie came automatically. Smooth as butter. "Elena." Miss Sarah's voice was gentle. Too gentle. It made my defenses activate like a fortress raising its walls. I've been teaching for 15 years. I know what managing looks like. This isn't managing. This is, we're fine. I stood. "Thank you for your concern. But Maria and I handle our own affairs." Her face showed disappointment. Not in Maria. In me, for some reason. That hurt worse. "There are people who would help if you asked," she said quietly. I smiled that practiced smile again. "We don't need help. Good day, Miss Sarah." I collected Maria and walked home. My hand tight around hers, my heart tight around everything else. That night, Saturday night, someone knocked on my gate. I was in the yard, washing clothes by moonlight, because I'd been at the laundry during daylight and couldn't afford to pay someone else to wash my own family's things. My hands were raw from the lye water, my hair falling from its pins, my dress soaked through. I looked up and saw him. Thomas Brennan. The blacksmith. I knew him by sight. Everyone did. Widower for 3 years, ran the forge, had a young son. My first thought was debt collector. My second was bad news. Both made my stomach clench. "Mrs. Martinez." He held his hat in his hands. "I apologize for the late hour." "What's wrong?" I stood, defensive. "Is it Maria? Is she?" No. He raised a hand. "Nothing's wrong. He paused, seeming to search for words. Miss Sarah mentioned Maria might benefit from learning a trade. I stared at him. Of all the things I'd expected, this wasn't one. "My son Sam needs supervision after school while I work," he continued. "Thought we might make an arrangement. Maria could learn forge work, basic metalwork. Nothing dangerous. Sam could use someone to help with his schoolwork. A trade. If you'd be willing. Trade. Not charity. Not pity. Trade. The distinction mattered more than it should have. I wanted to say yes so badly my teeth ached from keeping the word locked behind them. Wanted it like drowning people want air. But wanting and deserving were different things, and I'd learned the difference the hard way. I appreciate the offer. Mr. Brennan? My voice came out cold, but I have it handled. Maria and I managed just fine on our own. The lie tasted like copper, like blood. He looked at me, really looked, not the way most men looked at widows, calculating whether we were desperate enough yet. He looked like he understood, like he knew what pride cost because he'd paid the price himself. The offer stands, he said quietly. No shame in two single parents helping each other out. I need someone to teach my boy the manners, and learning your Maria has... You need someone to give her skills I can provide. Seems practical. Is all practical. Not rescue. Not charity. Practical. I watched him walk away, watched his shadow disappear down the street, watched my chance at help vanish into the dark. Maria appeared at my elbow. Mama, are you crying? Just soap in my eyes, baby. Another lie. Just tired? She hugged me. Her small arms barely reached around my waist. I'm always tired, too. Mama, that broke something in me. Something that had been cracking for months. My 10-year-old daughter shouldn't know exhaustion. Shouldn't have to be this wise. This old. This aware. I held her and lied again. Told her we'd be fine. Told her things would get better. Told her all the things mothers tell their children when they can't promise anything except more of the same. That night, I couldn't sleep. The 4 hours I usually got shrank to 2. I kept seeing Thomas Brennan's face. Kept hearing, no shame in two parents helping each other. Kept wondering when pride had become more important than my daughter's future. Tuesday came like Judgment Day. Maria brought home her arithmetic paper. Not just poor failing. A bright red F that might as well have been written in my blood. She tried to hide it. Folded it small and shoved it in her bag. But I'd seen the motion, the shame in her shoulders, the way her eyes wouldn't meet mine. Let me see it. Baby. Mama. I'm sorry. I tried. I did try. I can't. Her voice broke. I'm so tired. I stared at that paper. Red ink, like an accusation. Like proof of every failure I'd denied. My daughter was failing arithmetic because I'd been too proud to accept help. Too proud to admit I couldn't do this alone. Too proud to see that my strength was killing us both. It's not your fault, I whispered, but it was mine. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with Maria's failing paper in my hands. Did my own arithmetic. Hours working versus hours parenting. Pride's cost versus daughter's future. The equation didn't balance. Would never balance. Not while I insisted on solving it alone. I'd been so busy being strong, I'd forgotten to notice she was breaking. I barely slept. Watched Maria instead. Counted her exhausted breaths. Watched shadows under her eyes deepen with each hour. My baby. My responsibility. My failure. Wednesday evening. I made a decision. The kind that changes everything. The kind I'd been too scared to make for 2 years. I took Maria's hand. We're going somewhere. Where to ask for help. Each step toward the forge felt like walking toward execution. My pride screamed at me to turn back. My practical sense screamed at me to keep walking. Maria's hand in mine was the only thing that kept my feet moving forward. The forge glowed in the dusk. I could see Thomas at the anvil, hammer rising and falling with the rhythm I'd heard echoing through town for years. He looked up when we appeared in the doorway. His face registered surprise, then something softer. Welcome, maybe, or recognition. Mrs. Martinez. He set down his hammer. Maria? My rehearsed speech vanished. All those careful words I'd practiced, all the businesslike phrases I'd prepared to maintain dignity, gone. Is your offer still good? The words came out raw, honest, desperate, always. He didn't hesitate, didn't make me beg, just always. I nodded, swallowed. I have conditions. A small smile. I'd expect nothing less. We worked out the details. Maria would come 3 afternoons a week. Learn basic metalwork while Thomas supervised. His son Sam would come to my house those same afternoons. I'd help with homework, teach him his letters. I'd mend clothes for both of them. No money would change hands. No obligation beyond the trade. It was practical. A business arrangement. Nothing more. I needed it to be nothing more. What made you change your mind? Thomas asked. I looked at Maria. She was examining his tools with an expression I hadn't seen in months. Interest. Curiosity. Hope? She did, I said. She deserves. More than a tired mother, with too much pride. Pride's expensive, he said quietly. Took me a year after my wife died to figure that out. Something about the way he said it, calm, knowing, without judgment, made me realize I wasn't alone in understanding. He'd walked this path, lost his partner, raised a child alone, knew the weight. That knowing made asking possible, made it feel less like failure and more like wisdom. Tomorrow? I asked. Tomorrow. Maria's first afternoon at the forge? I watched from the doorway. Thomas showed her how to hold a hammer. Patient, careful, never condescending. She listened with an attention I hadn't seen her give schoolwork in months. Sam came home with me, small for 8, with his mother's eyes according to Mrs. Patterson, who'd known the family. He was shy at first, but when I offered him bread and jam, he smiled. When I asked to see his schoolwork, he showed me proudly. For 3 hours, I forgot to count minutes until I could leave. Forgot to maintain my walls. Forgot that this was supposed to be temporary, transactional. Nothing more. That terrified me more than asking for help had walking home with Maria. She chattered about the forge, about metal and heat and how things changed shape when you applied pressure. I listened and heard metaphors I didn't want to examine. Mr. Brennan is nice. Mama. She said, Sam is too. Can we go back tomorrow? Not tomorrow. Friday. Oh. Disappointment. But yes, baby. We can go back. She smiled. First real smile I'd seen in weeks. I told myself this was temporary. A few weeks until Maria caught up in school. Then we'd go back to managing alone. I was good at lying to myself. Had 2 years of practice. The first week, I counted the minutes until I could take Maria home. Habit. Maybe. Or fear. I watched the clock tick and calculated when we could politely leave. When I could return to the safety of my own 4 walls where I didn't owe anyone anything. By the 2nd week, I stopped counting. By the 3rd, I realized I was arriving early. Something had shifted without my permission. The arrangement had developed a rhythm. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at the forge, plus Fridays. Thomas always had coffee ready when I arrived. I'd never asked for it. He just said it out. Black. The way I'd learned to take it because sugar was expensive, and I'd forgotten sweetness was possible. I started bringing extra cornbread from breakfast. Never mentioned it. Just left it on the workbench wrapped in cloth. He never mentioned it either. We were both pretending these weren't kindnesses, just practical additions. Fuel for work. I watched him teach Maria with a patience I'd forgotten men could possess. He never raised his voice, never made her feel stupid for asking questions. When she struggled to shape a piece of metal, he'd guide her hands without taking over, showing. Not doing for her. The metal tells you what it wants to be. I heard him say once, our job is to listen. Maria listened, absorbed, learned. Sam bloomed under attention. He was hungry for it, starving, really. At my kitchen table, he'd sound out words with desperate concentration. When he got one right, he'd look up for approval. I'd give it, watch him light up like sunrise. You're good at this, I told him one afternoon. My mama used to help me, he said quietly. Before she died, my heart cracked. I'm sure she was very proud of you. Mr. Brennan says you're teaching me just like she would have. I didn't know what to say to that. Settled for, well, let's make her proud then. He smiled. Started calling me Miss Elena that day. Then Ms. Elena. Then, shyly, almost, Mama Elena. I should have corrected him. Maintained boundaries. Reminded him this was temporary. I didn't. The afternoons developed a pattern. I'd mend in the corner of the forge while Thomas worked. The sound of his hammer became background music. Comfortable, familiar. Sometimes he'd ask if the coffee was getting low. I'd refill his cup without thinking. We didn't talk much. Didn't need to. I'd forgotten silence could be companionship. Forgotten how to be with someone without performing. One Saturday morning, we'd expanded to Saturday somehow. I wasn't sure when Thomas appeared at my door with firewood. Had extra, he said. We both knew it was a lie. A good lie. A kind lie. Would you like coffee? I heard myself ask. If it's not too much trouble. It wasn't. Nothing about him was trouble. That troubled me. He sat at my kitchen table. First man to sit there since my husband died. It should have felt wrong. Should have felt like betrayal. It felt right. That scared me more than anything. We talked about small things. Weather, Maria's progress, Sam's reading level, safe topics. But underneath, something deeper flowed. Understanding. Maybe recognition. Maria's got a gift for metalwork, he said. Natural feel for it. Sam's reading has improved remarkably. I refilled his cup. You should be proud. We should both be proud. He looked at me directly. We're doing good work. Together. Together. The word sat between us, like a promise and a threat. I should get back to mending, I said, standing. He nodded, stood too. Thank you for the coffee. Thank you for the firewood. More lies, more kindness disguised as transaction. After he left, the house felt empty in a way it hadn't before. I'd gotten used to empty. This was different. This was lonely. I'd forgotten the difference. Wasn't sure I liked remembering. Maria noticed things changing. You smile more, Mama. Do I, when Mr. Brennan talks to you? When Sam shows you his work? You smile different. Real. Out of the mouths of children. Truth I wasn't ready to acknowledge. I was falling. Knew it. Didn't know how to stop. Wasn't sure I wanted to. We'd stopped being strangers, trading services, had become something else, something without a name yet, something that terrified and comforted me in equal measure. I'd spent 2 years building walls. Somehow, without my noticing, Thomas and Sam had found doors I'd forgotten existed, had walked through them like they belonged there. The scariest part, I wanted them to stay. One Thursday evening, picking Maria up later than usual, I found Thomas reading to both children by the forge light, some story about knights and dragons. Maria sat on one side, Sam on the other, both mesmerized. He looked up when I appeared, smiled, got caught up in the story. Hope that's all right. It's fine. More than fine. It was family. Real family. The kind I'd lost. The kind I'd thought I'd never have again. When had his footsteps become familiar? When had I started listening for them? When had I begun to miss the sound of his hammer when the forge was silent? I was in trouble. Deep. Dangerous. Beautiful trouble. It happened on a Thursday. Such ordinary disasters always do. I was at the laundry, working the third hour of what should have been a 4-hour shift. The lye water was particularly harsh that day. My hands were raw, cracked, bleeding in places. But I needed the work, needed every penny. The room started spinning. Just a little at first, then more. The floor tilted. My knees went weak. I sat down, meant to sit. Actually collapsed. Right there on the ground outside the laundry, unable to stand, unable to move. Pride demanding I get up and body refusing to cooperate. Mrs. Chen from the laundry came out. Elena, you all right? Fine. Just need a minute. I wasn't fine. We both knew it. Then Thomas was there. I didn't know why, didn't know how. Later, I'd learn he'd been passing by. Or maybe he hadn't been passing by. Maybe he'd been checking on me. I never asked. Elena. He knelt beside me. When did you last eat? I tried to remember. Yesterday? The day before? I'm fine, I said automatically. Just stood up too fast. You're sitting down. Valid point. He helped me up. I protested. He ignored my protests. First time he'd ever overruled my pride. Even you have limits, he said quietly. I wanted to argue, wanted to insist I could walk home alone, manage alone, exist alone. My body betrayed me. I leaned on him because I had no choice. The entire town was watching. I could feel eyes on us. Judgment. Speculation. Let them watch. I was too tired to care. The walk home took forever. His arm around me, supporting, my feet barely working, my defenses crumbling with each step. At my house. He sat me in my kitchen chair. Where's Maria? School. Sam. With Mrs. Patterson. We were alone. That should have worried me. Instead, it felt like relief. I started crying. Not pretty tears. The ugly kind. The gasping. 2 years of grief-compressed kind. The tears I'd held back through 730 days of being strong. Thomas didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer platitudes. Just pulled up a chair and sat beside me. Waited. I'm so tired. I finally managed. Words I'd never said aloud. I'm tired of being strong. Tired of proving I can do this alone. Tired of feeling guilty for being tired. Then stop, he said. Simple as that. I don't know how. You start by letting me help. Really help. Not trade. Help. I looked at him through tears. What if I can't pay you back? What if it's not a debt? The concept was foreign. Kindness without obligation, help without shame, partnership without keeping score. If I'm not the widow who manages alone, I whispered, who am I? You're Elena. He said it like it was enough. That's always been enough. I wanted to believe him, wanted it desperately. 6 months after my wife died, he said quietly, I burned dinner for the third night in a row. Sam was crying. Everything was falling apart. I was falling apart. Mrs. Patterson came by, insisted on helping despite my pride, told me accepting help wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. He paused. Took me 6 more months to believe her. Don't take 6 months. Elena, I laughed. Sounded more like a sob. I'm terrified. Of what? Of leaning on you and you leaving. Of needing this and it disappearing. I can't survive breaking twice. He was quiet for a long moment. Then I can't promise I won't die. Elena, life already taught us both that lesson. But I can promise I won't leave by choice. And I can promise you're not alone while I'm here. The honesty of it broke something open in me. Some final wall I'd been maintaining. I was breaking. But he was catching me. And maybe that was okay. Rest, he said. I'll get the children. Watch them this afternoon. You sleep? I can't just... Yes, you can. I was too tired to argue, too tired to fight, too tired to be strong. I slept. Really slept. Not the 4-hour survival sleep I'd been getting. Deep sleep. Healing sleep. I woke to the smell of dinner cooking. Children's voices, Maria and Sam, laughing about something. The house was quiet but full. A good kind of full. A note sat on my bedside table. You needed rest. See you tomorrow. T. I folded that note, put it in my apron pocket, carried it like a promise. Like permission. Like proof that asking for help hadn't destroyed me. It had saved me. Friday afternoon, wearing my best dress because I was meeting with the saloon owner about continuing my night shift. He delivered news like a death sentence. I'm sorry. Elena, business isn't what it was. I'm closing. 2 weeks' notice. The world tilted. Not like Thursday's dizziness. Worse, this was my future collapsing. I did the math walking home. Seamstress work plus laundry minus saloon equaled $40 short for rent. $40 I didn't have. Couldn't magic from air. The weekend became desperate mathematics. I took on extra laundry, offered to clean houses, took in more mending, worked until my fingers bled. Literally bled needle pricks opening, refusing to heal. Bleeding onto white fabric I had to rewash. Monday. Maria found me sewing in the dark to save candle wax. Mama, you're going to hurt your eyes. I'm fine, baby. No, you're not. 10 years old and seeing through every lie I told. When had my daughter become this wise, this aware, this parental, we'll be okay? I promised. Another lie. Tuesday evening, I was at the forge late, after hours, trying to finish a mending order by lantern light because I'd been at the laundry during daylight hours and time was a luxury I couldn't afford. Thomas found me there. Elena, how bad is it? I can manage. That's not what I asked. I set down my needle. My hands were shaking. Exhaustion, fear, desperation. I lost the saloon job. I'm $40 short for rent. The words came out flat. But I can manage. How? That's when I broke again. Different than Thursday. Angrier. More desperate. I don't know, but I have to. I can't ask for, "You're not asking," he interrupted. I'm offering what money I can't take. Not money. Partnership. He pulled up a chair, sat across from me. Move in. You and Maria. My house has 3 bedrooms, 1 for each child. 1 for you. I'll sleep in the workshop. We combine households, combine expenses. 2 single-parent households cost more than 1 household with 2 parents. It's practical. I stared at him. That's not practical. That's people will talk. Think things. This isn't proper. This is survival, Thomas said firmly. Nothing improper about that. We can't. What would a sound from the doorway? We both turned. Maria and Sam stood there, listening. How much had they heard? I want Elena to be my mama. Sam said, simple, honest, childlike. I want Sam to be my brother, Maria added. I want Mr. Brennan to be... She didn't finish. Didn't need to. You're already family, Sam said. Aren't you out of the mouths of children? Truth adults complicate. I looked at Thomas. He looked at me. Between us hung the weight of decisions that would change everything. Just until you find another job, he said quietly. Until you get back on your feet. Temporary. We both knew he was lying. Both pretended to believe it. My terms. I said, I pay my way. I work. I contribute. This isn't charity. Never thought it was. And we tell people it's practical. An arrangement. Nothing more. If that's what you need to say. I took a breath. Made a choice that terrified me. Okay. We move in, temporarily, practically, as an arrangement. He smiled, gentle, understanding. We'll move you Sunday. Sunday came. Thomas and Sam helped us pack. We didn't have much. 2 years of widow poverty meant most possessions had been sold. What remained fit in crates and bundles easily carried. Walking into his house felt like crossing a threshold. Literal and emotional. The house was larger than I'd expected. Clean, but clearly lacking a woman's touch. Functional, but not quite home. Your room. He showed me the bedroom. East-facing window. Quilt on the bed. Space in the wardrobe. Mine's the workshop. Gives you privacy. Privacy and distance. Both safety measures. Both lies we told ourselves. Maria and Sam ran between their rooms. Excited, planning, laughing. Already siblings. I unpacked slowly. Put my things in the wardrobe, but didn't fully unpack. Kept my bag partially packed, ready to leave, just in case. That night. First night in Thomas Brennan's house. I lay awake and listened to the sounds of family. Thomas moving around the workshop, children whispering between rooms, the house settling. I told myself this was temporary, practical, an arrangement. I was still lying to myself, still protecting my heart, still keeping one foot ready to run. But I was here. We were here together. That had to count for something. 6 weeks in Thomas's house, and I still slept with one foot on the floor, ready to run. Fear was a stronger habit than hope. I'd practiced fear for 2 years. Hope felt dangerous, surface level. Life worked beautifully. I cooked. Thomas provided. I managed the household. He handled repairs. Maria's grades soared. Sam learned to read fluently. We looked like family. Acted like family. I was terrified we might actually become family. Tuesday afternoon, at the market, Mrs. Henderson stopped me. Playing house with the blacksmith. Are you? She probably meant it kindly, maybe even admiringly. I heard judgment, assumption, accusation. I smiled. Just a practical arrangement. 2 households sharing expenses. She nodded. Didn't believe me. I didn't blame her. I barely believed myself. That night, I couldn't sleep. Thoughts spiraling. This isn't real. Can't be real. I'm pretending. Using him. Lying to the children. Building something that will collapse. Has to collapse. Everything collapses. By midnight, I'd packed a bag, got as far as the hallway. Sat on the floor, paralyzed. Where would I go? Nowhere. I had nowhere. But staying meant admitting need, meant risking love, meant he could leave, die, disappear, abandon, meant I could break again. I couldn't survive breaking twice. Thomas found me there. He'd heard me moving around, sat beside me on the floor without a word, waited. "Where are you going?" he finally asked. I don't know. Away. Back. Somewhere I can do this alone. Why? Everything spilled out. Because this isn't real. Because I'm a charity case, pretending to be family. Because I don't know how to need someone without losing myself. Because the last time I needed someone, he died and left me. And I can't. I couldn't finish. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't hold back 2 years of terror. Thomas waited until the storm passed. Then, quietly, this is real. Elena, the children are real. The life we're building is real. You're not a charity case. You're my partner. Equal partner. You manage things I can't. I handle things you can't. That's not rescue. That's partnership. I'm falling in love with you, I whispered. The truth I'd been avoiding. And that terrifies me. I know. He didn't sound surprised. I fell in love with you 8 weeks ago. When you showed up at my forge with Maria's hand in yours and asked for help anyway. Bravest thing I'd ever seen. I looked at him. Really looked. Saw the truth in his face. What if we try this, really try this, and it breaks? My voice was small, scared. Then we'll put it back together. He said it like it was simple. That's what we do. Elena, we're fixers. You with your needle, me with my forge. We know how to mend broken things. What if I can't survive losing you? What if you can't survive not trying? The question hung between us, heavy, important. I thought about my daughter, happy for the first time in 2 years. I thought about Sam, calling me mama without asking permission. I thought about mornings with coffee already made, evenings with family dinners. The sound of Thomas's hammer that had become home. I thought about staying in fear versus risking hope. I'm terrified, I admitted. Me too. He reached for my hand, waited for me to take it. But I'm more terrified of not trying, of letting fear steal what we could have. I looked at our hands. His calloused from forge work, mine calloused from needles, both scarred, both healing. I took his hand. We try this, I said. Really try this. Together. We sat on that hallway floor until dawn. Talking. Really talking. He told me about his wife. Not just that she'd died, but who she'd been. How he'd loved her. How he'd grieved. I told him about my husband. The good parts, and the hard parts, and the parts that still hurt. We made room for ghosts. Made room for each other. Made room for us. When the sun rose, I stood. Thomas stood with me. We went to my room. I unpacked the bag I'd packed. Hung my dresses in the wardrobe properly. Put my mother's quilt on the bed. The bed. Not ready to run temporary placement. Put my things in drawers. Claimed space. Claimed home. Thomas watched from the doorway. You're staying. I'm staying. I looked at him. Really staying. No more 1 foot on the floor. No more ready to run. I'm here. On purpose. By choice? He smiled. Relieved. Happy. Hopeful. I love you. Elena, I love you too. First time I'd said it. First time I'd admitted it. First time I'd let myself feel it. It didn't break me. Didn't destroy me. Made me stronger. I'd been so afraid of breaking that I'd forgotten hearts were meant to be used. I woke on a Sunday morning, 3 months after moving into Thomas's house, and realized I'd spent 90 days saying temporary, 90 days pretending this was an arrangement instead of a life, 90 days lying to everyone, especially myself. That morning, I stopped lying. I watched Thomas make breakfast, watched the children set the table together, arguing amiably about whose turn it was for which task, watched the easy rhythm of family we'd built, watched and finally let myself see what had been true for months. This was what I wanted. Not temporarily. Permanently. Forever. I needed to ask him properly. Not accept his offers anymore. Make my own. Choose my own future instead of letting circumstances choose for me. After breakfast, I sent the children to the neighbors. Told them Mrs. Chen needed help with her garden. They went willingly. Unsuspecting. Thomas looked up from his coffee when the door closed. Everything all right? I need to ask you something. My heart was pounding. 2 years of widow caution fighting against 3 months of growing certainty. And I need you to know I'm asking, not accepting, choosing, not settling. He set down his cup, waited. I took a breath, claimed my courage. Thomas, I love you. I love Sam, like he's my own. I love the life we've built here, and I'm tired of pretending it's temporary. Another breath. I'm asking you, will you marry me? Will you be my husband? Not my landlord. Will you let me be Sam's mother? Not just his tutor, Will. You build a real family with me. On purpose. By choice, silence. Long enough that panic started creeping in. Had I misread? Assumed too much. Wanted something he didn't, then his face broke into a smile. Pure joy. Elena, I've been waiting 3 months for you to see what I knew from week 1. He stood, crossed to me. Yes. God. Yes. Relief flooded through me. I have conditions. He laughed. Of course you do. We go to the minister tomorrow. We tell the children together today. We make this legal and proper and real. No more arrangements. No more halfway. I'm all in. Thomas, I need you all in too. I've been all in since you walked through my forged door. He took my hands. Just been waiting for you to catch up. I kissed him. First real kiss. The kind that meant promise and future and forever. The kind I'd thought I'd never have again. "I'm asking you to marry me," I said again, needing him to understand. Me asking you, my choice. My decision. I'm not being rescued. I'm choosing partnership. I know. He kissed me back. That's what makes it perfect. We got the children, sat them down at the kitchen table. They looked worried adult faces, meant serious conversations. "We have something to tell you." I started. "Are we leaving?" Maria asked immediately, fear in her voice. "No, baby." Opposite. I took her hand. Took Sam's, too. "Mr. Brennan and I are getting married. Really married. We're making this family official and permanent." "Does this mean we're a real family now?" Maria asked. "We've been real family for months." I told her I was just too scared to call it that. But yes. Real and permanent and forever. Sam looked at me with those big eyes. "Can I call you Mama for real now?" My throat tightened. "You've been calling me Mama for weeks, sweetheart. Now it's just official." He launched himself at me, hugged me with his whole small body. Maria joined. Then Thomas. We stood in the kitchen, 4 people choosing to be family. And I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Complete. We married Tuesday at the courthouse. Nothing fancy. Thomas in his good suit. Me in my best dress black still, but I'd added blue ribbon. Maria and Sam as witnesses, dressed in Sunday clothes, solemn and joyful. The minister asked if I took Thomas Brennan as my lawfully wedded husband. I said yes. Meant it with everything in me. Asked if he took me. He said yes. Never broke eye contact. Pronounced us married. Said I could kiss my husband. Thomas kissed me like a promise, kept, like a future beginning. "Mrs. Brennan," he said. "Mrs. Brennan." I repeated. New name. New life. Same me, but better. Stronger. Not stronger alone. Stronger together. We walked home our home now as a family. Legal. Real. Chosen. I'd spent my whole life believing strength meant enduring alone. I'd been wrong. Strength was knowing when to reach out. Knowing when to ask for help. Knowing when to let yourself be loved. I took Thomas's name, but didn't lose mine. Became his wife, but stayed Elena. Mother to both children. Woman in my own right. Partner. Equal. That was the real victory, learning I could be all of it. Wife and individual. Mother and woman. Strong and vulnerable. Independent and partnered. All of it. All of me. Finally, that night. Our wedding night. I moved my things into Thomas's room. Our room now. Hung my dresses beside his shirts. Put my mother's quilt on our bed. Claimed space without reservation. No more 1 foot on the floor. No more ready to run. No more temporary. I was home. Really home. By choice. On purpose. In love. And I'd never felt stronger in my life. 5 years later, I still wake at 4:30 sometimes. Old habits die hard. But now Thomas stirs beside me, pulls me close, murmurs, "Too early," into my hair. I curl against him and remember I'm not a widow anymore. Haven't been for 5 years. I'm a wife. A mother. A woman who learned that asking for help isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. Our life now barely resembles those desperate days. I run a successful seamstress business from our home. With the addition Thomas built last year, my own workspace with good light and proper tools. Women come from 3 towns over for my work. Thomas's forge thrives. He took on an apprentice last spring, young man who reminds me of my husband, eager and hardworking. Thomas teaches him the way he taught Maria, patient, thorough, kind. Maria is 15 now, planning to attend teacher's college next year. She still works the forge on weekends, only girl in the county who can work metal. She wears it like armor and pride both. My daughter, who learned that strength comes in many forms. Sam is 13, loves books and mathematics, wants to be an engineer, build bridges, he says, connect things. I think of the bridges he's already built between me and Thomas, between our broken families, between grief and joy. Saturday morning, someone knocked. I opened the door to find a woman I didn't know, thin, exhausted, dark circles under eyes that held too much knowledge, 2 small children clinging to her skirts. I recognized her immediately, not her face, her situation. She was me, 5 years ago, Mrs. Brennan. Her voice was careful. I'm Margaret Walsh, new to town, widow. I heard you might... The minister said you help. She couldn't finish. Pride wouldn't let her. I knew that pride, had worn it like armor. Come in, I said. I'll make coffee. Over coffee, her story spilled out. Husband dead 6 months, 2 jobs, 3 children. Not enough hours. Not enough money. Not enough her. I don't want charity, she said quickly. I can work. I can pay. I just need partnership. I finished, not charity, partnership. Her eyes filled with tears, hope and fear warring. I told her my story. 3 jobs, 4 hours of sleep, daughter failing school. Too proud to ask for help, a blacksmith who offered a trade, a terrified decision. A family built from broken pieces. What changed? She asked. I did. Simple truth. I learned that strength isn't suffering alone. It's knowing when to reach out. 2 people holding each other up are stronger than 1 person standing alone. We made arrangements. Her oldest daughter could help in my seamstress shop. Learn the trade. I'd watch her youngest while she worked. Thomas would teach her middle son basic metalwork. She'd help with household tasks, trade, partnership, family. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because someone did it for me. I refilled her coffee. Because I remember what drowning feels like. Because helping you helps me remember where I've been and how far I've come. She left with hope in her eyes instead of just desperation. I watched her walk away and remembered my own desperate walk to Thomas's forge. How that walk had changed everything. That evening, our whole family gathered for dinner. Thomas at one end of the table, me at the other. Maria and Sam between us. Arguing about something Maria read in a book. Thomas caught my eye across the table. Smiled. I smiled back. People ask sometimes what the secret is. How 2 broken people made something whole. I tell them the truth. We didn't fix each other. We fixed ourselves. Together. Thomas didn't rescue me. I didn't redeem him. We simply held each other steady while we both learned to stand. That's what love is. Not rescue. Not completion, partnership, choosing each other. Every day, on purpose, after dinner. After children are in bed, Thomas and I sit on the porch, his arm around my shoulders, my head on his chest. Comfortable silence. You're thinking, he says. About Margaret Walsh. About how I almost said no to you 5 years ago. But you didn't. But I almost did. I look up at him. Pride almost cost me everything. Pride and fear are expensive. He kisses my forehead. Wisdom is learning they're not worth the price. I think about the woman I was exhausted, proud, drowning. Think about the moment I walked into Thomas's forge with Maria's hand in mine and asked for help. That moment split my life into before and after. Before Elena, who endured alone. After Elena, who learned to share the burden. I don't regret the hard years. They taught me resilience. But I don't glorify them either. Suffering isn't virtue. Surviving isn't thriving. I survived for 2 years. I've thrived for 5. The widow's hour doesn't scare me anymore. When I wake at 4:30 now, I don't see darkness. I see possibility. See the family sleeping peacefully. The business I built. The life I chose, not settled for, but actively chose. I learned I could give everything without giving up everything. That's what I tell every struggling widow who appears at my door. You can be strong and ask for help. You can be independent and partnered. You can honor your past and build your future. You just have to be brave enough to ask. Thomas stirs beside me. 4:30 again. Old habit, new life, he corrects. And he's right. New life, better life, chosen life, loved life, shared life. I close my eyes and sleep until dawn, at peace, at home, at last.